हैं भारत के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का। माननीय, आपकी अति ओजमय उपस्थिति इस कार्यक्रम की गरिमा को बढ़ा रही है। We extend a very hearty welcome to Honorable Chief Justice of India, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud. We also extend a warm welcome to Honorable Minister of Law and Justice, Independent Charge, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal. Honorable Attorney General for India, Shri R. Venkataramani. Mr. Alex Chalk, Lord Chancellor, UK. Honorable Solicitor General of India, Shri Tushar Mehta. हम स्वागत करते हैं चेयरमैन बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया श्री मनन कुमार मिश्रा। We extend a very warm welcome to you all. भारत, भा यानी प्रकाश, रत यानी लीन, यानी ऐसा देश जो प्रकाश से भरा हो। आज विश्व में भारत के उद्घोष वन अर्थ, वन फैमिली, वन फ्यूचर की गूंज है। Bar Council of India has recently framed the regulations for entry of foreign lawyers and firms on reciprocal basis, which has opened the way to immense prospects. ये सम्मेलन आपसी सहयोग और साझेदारी के नए द्वार खुलने की ओर एक और ऐतिहासिक कदम है। अतिथि सत्कार का संस्कार निभाते हुए हम आग्रह करते हैं चेयरमैन बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया श्री मनन कुमार मिश्रा आपसे कि कृपया माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का स्वागत करें, उन्हें मेमेंटो भेंट करके। May I request Chairman Bar Council of India to present a memento to Honorable Chief Justice of India, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud. आपसे ही निवेदन है श्री मनन कुमार मिश्रा चेयरमैन बीसीआई कि कृपया माननीय विधि एवं न्याय मंत्री स्वतंत्र प्रभार श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल जी को मेमेंटो भेंट करें। I now request Chairman Bar Council of India to welcome Mr. Alex Chalk, Lord Chancellor, UK, with a memento. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, थैंक यू सो मच। और अब हमारा आग्रह है श्री मनन कुमार मिश्रा चेयरमैन बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया आपसे कि कृपया स्वागत संबोधन दें। काइंडली डिलीवर वेलकम एड्रेस।
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed dignitaries on the dais of the dais. Today, we gather here for the inauguration of the International Lawyers Conference 2023. This conference, organized in association with esteemed international legal bodies, signifies a historic moment for our legal fraternity. Our 2 days discussion in different technical sessions will focus on international legal solutions for the emerging challenges in our justice delivery system. We have delegates from across India, as well as the bar leaders of the world, law students and advocates. While we embrace change and reform in our legal system, our country has a very robust and independent judiciary. Backlog of cases is a serious issue because the citizens have immense trust in judiciary. Our judges work tirelessly, but the sheer size of population shows the necessity for some more judges. The recently introduced mediation law by our parliament is a welcome step. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian legal fraternity is very strong comprising about 23 lakh lawyers. Every village has one or two lawyers who command the entire village and surroundings. Lawyers have been strongly supporting our global hero, Narendra Modi ji, since after the conference held in Mahatma Mandir, Gandhinagar on 1st March 2014. Sir, initiatives like health insurance for lawyers and their families is the demand of the hour. A central law for protection of lawyers and their families is much needed to uphold justice and fairness in our society, and also to avoid frequent compulsions of a strike or boycotts by lawyers. Indian judiciary under the leadership of our Honorable D.Y. Chanchurji is the cornerstone of our democracy, known for its independence, protection of fundamental rights, landmark judgments, which are even cited in many other jurisdictions. Legal education is now ultra-modern, fulfilling the demands of advanced technologies to meet the demands of the profession. Efforts to promote regional languages in legal education are underway, enhancing accessibility. Bar Council of India is keen to do it. I am aware of the time constraint, and I am to assure all the delegates, both in person and virtually, that you were expecting something positive from me. However, I can guarantee that our dynamic leader will soon address you, and I'm confident it will bring you immense satisfaction. The rules governing foreign lawyers in India strike a balance between protecting Indian lawyers' interests and opening opportunity for foreign lawyers. Reciprocity is the basis. We will discuss about it in detail with the foreign guest and Lord Chancellor. In conclusion, this conference is a testament to our commitment to justice, truth, progress, and this conference is going to make the members of the bar more stronger and united and more useful for the nation. देवी और सज्जनों, चांद पर पहुंचा दिया है उन्होंने। अपने यान बनाया अपने देश में, वोकल फॉर लोकल, देन वी वेंट ग्लोबल। आज अभी जो मुलाकात हुई लॉर्ड चांसलर से, ही ऑल्सो कॉन्ग्रेचुलेटेड, द फर्स्ट थिंग ही डिड, ही कॉन्ग्रेचुलेटेड आवर ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर फॉर द ग्रैंड सक्सेस ऑफ G20। G20 के प्रेसिडेंसी ने हमारे मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में सारे विश्व में भारत का पताका उजागर कर दिया। बहुत जल्द हाइड्रोजन से हम अपने देश में बनाए हुए रेल पे चलेंगे। तो वकीलों से आग्रह है, आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल द लॉयर फ्रेंड्स प्रेजेंट हियर to give a big hand to our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji. आज हमारे मुख्य न्यायाधीश, आपको मालूम होगा, हार्वर्ड में जाके पढ़ाते हैं, कैम्ब्रिज में, ऑक्सफोर्ड में इनका डिमांड है। और हमारे देश के, हमारे सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजेस के जजमेंट्स आज सारे विश्व में इसको फॉलो किया जाता है, वहां साइट होता है। तो आई विल रिक्वेस्ट यू ऑल टू गिव ए बिग हैंड टू आवर ऑनरेबल द चीफ जस्टिस एंड हिज चीफ। आई वेलकम द डियर ऑनरेबल फॉरेन गेस्ट्स, द लॉर्ड चांसलर इन दिस गैदरिंग, and on behalf of the legal fraternity of the country, I'll request the lawyers, Indian lawyers, to give a big hand, एक तालियों के साथ उनका भी स्वागत करें। जय हिंद, नमस्कार, जय भारत।
Dhanyavad, Chairman, Bar Council of India. May I request Honorable Solicitor General of India, Shri Tushar Mehta, to kindly speak on the occasion. कृपया आज के इस शुभ अवसर पर अपने विचार प्रकट करें.
Honorable Prime Minister of India, our beloved Shri Modi ji, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, the dignitaries on the dais, the honorable judges and dignitaries of the dais. Friends, today I stand here to share with you some of the issues which confronts the Indian judiciary and the Indian legal system, but more particularly to highlight the progress which we have made, for which we, the legal fraternity, will have to be ready, and that is the purpose and reason behind this conference, that is International Lawyers Conference. Friends, our country is becoming an economic powerhouse in the world. In the last decade, under the visionary leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, we have taken several statutory steps, making new laws, making new policies, making new initiatives, as a result of which India has jumped to by 79th position in the index of ease of doing business. More and more people are attracted towards our nation for the purpose of investment, and we have entered an era where we have reached the era of 100% direct foreign investment through automatic route, that is complete and total transparency. And we, the legal professionals, will have to adapt ourselves and be ready. And I assure the foreign dignitaries here that we, which includes the judiciary of India and the Indian bar, are ready. Just before the function started, the Lord Chancellor was asking me about what is the position of digitization in India. Friends, under again the visionary leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, India started its journey for digitization, and we are at a stage where, as on date, India has 760 million mobile internet users, and we are adding one new user every 3 seconds. That's the position of our country on digitization. Now, justice is delivered literally at the doorstep because of the digitization. Our country, Bharat, is not only behind anyone, but is leading the world in terms of digital payment. And I would be very happy to share with you that the total digital payments which are made in India, because of again the visionary leadership, is 7 times that of United States of America and European Union put together. Our digital payment is 3 times the population of China. Friends, digitization has not only helped the Indian judiciary and the Indian administration of justice system, but it has helped the humanity, because the goal of the government is not just justice as per the legal books, but justice, social, political, and economical. And social justice is impossible without providing for a good health mechanism to the nation. When the world faced the COVID pandemic, which was one of the biggest human tragedy in the history of known world, India not only developed its own indigenous vaccines, but the government of India administered 2.2 billion vaccine doses free of cost, which is equal to 2.5 times the combined population of United States and European Union put together. It is nothing but a miracle which was possible only because of digitization. Friends, we know we have 25,000 district courts, 21,000 district courts, I stand corrected, 25 high courts and the Supreme Court. Every document in every court is now available in the digitized format by and large, and any common man is able to access what is lying in the courtroom. It has become a matter of past as to whether a litigant was also not knowing what has happened to his matter. Now anyone can know anything, and that's the level of transparency our digitized judicial system has achieved. The government has also formulated a new policy based on digitization, which is called tele-law. This tele-law virtually and literally brings the justice at the doorstep of the last man standing in the line by providing him with an opportunity and a platform to just dial one number, and he would get a free legal advice of eminent lawyers who have been persuaded to work pro bono. Now there would not be any citizen who would be deprived of his rights because of lack of legal advice. The Supreme Court has also started its own initiative under the very visionary leadership of the Honorable Chief Justice of India, and now we are in the e-era by the Chief Justice's court being completely paperless court. The Supreme Court of India has started a platform called Supreme Court Vidhik Anuvad Software, acronym being SUVAS, which on a real-time basis is capable of translating the judgment, order and documents of the Supreme Court in 9 vernacular languages, which is a miracle by itself. Friends, Bharat is the present and the future of the world. Even during COVID period between 2019 and 2022, where the capital of every country was draining out of the country, our country got the maximum foreign direct investment, and people are trusting our country even for legal adjudication, and these 2 days program is a beginning of an era whereby we will be able to share our system with our counterparts, and the counterparts will share their system with India. But we as the legal fraternity will have to be fully and completely ready to meet with the challenges which comes with the global leadership which the Honorable Prime Minister has brought to our nation. More and more litigation will come, more and more people, litigants would trust our administration of justice system, particularly mediation and arbitration, and we as the legal fraternity members will have to rise to that occasion, that our country continues to be the future of the world. Friends, I am thankful that the Bar Council has taken this initiative. I'm told this is just an initiative, and such programs and initiatives would continue, bringing us together and enlightening us in the field so as to ensure that we live up to the expectations which the world looks at us. I thank the Bar Council for having invited me. I thank all of you. Have a very good day. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Solicitor General of India. May I request the Honorable Attorney General for India, Shri R. Venkataramani, to kindly address the august gathering, please.
Let me first extend my warm greetings to our special guest, Dr. Alex Chack, Minister for Justice and Lord Chancellor. And we have three keen listeners here. Honorable Prime Minister, he always listens, and willing to listen, and the Chief Justice of India, as equally an avid listener, and my Honorable Minister for Law and Justice for gracing the occasion today. Let me congratulate the Bar Council of India for conceiving and successfully organizing this mammoth event. Every attempt made to gather members of the legal fraternity towards sharing of thoughts and views on enhancing justice is a valuable attempt. Every day and every motion in the landscape of justice concerns us deeply. Knowing contemporary issues, contemporary justice demands, and moving towards future justice needs will be the deliberations in the event. Science is a gift so valuable, wonderful. Its progeny, technology, is our second soul. Despite these gifts, we do keep exploring and plunging into newer avenues of being fair to each other in all our transactions. The galloping speed of movements and motions across the globe, the hitherto unthought of creation and exchanges of resources, human and natural, the yearnings for liberty and fulfillment by those in want and deprivation on the one hand, and the old world notions of divisions and hegemony with their unrelenting grips on the human minds on the other hand, are in conflict. Colonization of places may have gone. Colonization of minds and resources continue to be a challenge. War and national muscle powers seem to take new avatars. Justice demands, both domestic and global, thus call for unceasing engagements. We are indeed pushed to debate about global law for global issues only because we are still a divided globe, though with the United Nations. No person ever steps into the same river twice, for it is not the same river and it is not the same person, said Heraclitus long ago. And the same is true of justice. We tend and yearn to make changes in our social orders and the ways of life. Every brick we pick up and every mortar we add in this pursuit brings new questions and new signposts. We need to incentivize new creations of intellectual property in order that all humanity derives its benefit on equal measure. For after all, if liberty and creativity die, what is left of our existence? The conference seeks to open up our earnest minds to emerging facets of our engagement with the new frontiers of intellectual property and of science and technology, and even the harmful creations of the mind which seem to defy regulations. The conference invites us to talk about what artificial intelligence and the legal landscape. We should not confine ourselves to what Richard Susskind writes about the artificial intelligence and its benefits or challenges in the world practice of law and justice administration, though that would be immediately important. It is proper that we begin to talk about several battles and concerns arising out of the thought machines that we call artificial intelligence. These battles include the battle for power in the new world. The conference asked us to discuss access to justice and alternate dispute resolution. Both are intertwined. We have long ago left behind the idea of legal aid as mere court assistance. We must designate aid in legal resolution as justice assistance, as a social empowerment, and as tools of social peace. As much as the state invests in this, so much it reaps by promotion of social justice and peace. Social media is borderless world of communications. It enables hugely and connects the world, but distorts, it disregards ethical or moral demands. It is an ever-hungry field and seeks partisan ends. We need to talk about its impacts on justice delivery and how it can bear invidious pressure on justice delivery and why its contours demand regulation in order that undue perseverances do not enter or deflect our objectivity. In the midst of the slippery slopes of challenges and the uncharted seas of questions, we are called upon to shape the future of legal education by its fundamental transformation into justice education and building sustainable legal profession, which must satisfy gender equality, diversity, and elimination of monopoly by the creamy layers of the community as it obtains today. The conference is the beginning of a new and continuing dialogues. How can concerned minds be addressed in the midst of ever-arising questions of doing justice? I, on behalf of the Bar Council, welcome all of you once again for a fulfilling share of minds. Jai Hind.
थैंक यू सो मच ऑनरेबल अटॉर्नी जनरल फॉर इंडिया। अब हमारा अनुरोध है ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर ऑफ लॉ एंड जस्टिस इंडिपेंडेंट चार्ज श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल जी आपसे कि आज के इस शुभ अवसर पर अपने विचार अपने उद्गार व्यक्त करें।
बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा आयोजित इंटरनेशनल लॉयर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस 2023 में उपस्थित विश्व के सर्वाधिक लोकप्रिय नेता, भारत को विकसित भारत बनाने में जी जान से जुटे भारत के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के मुख्य न्यायाधीश न्यायमूर्ति डॉक्टर DY चंद्रचूड़ जी, सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट फॉर जस्टिस ऑफ यूके श्री एलेक्स चौक जी, भारत के अटॉर्नी जनरल श्री R वेंकटरामन जी, भारत के सॉलिसिटर जनरल श्री तुषार मेहता जी, बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया के अध्यक्ष श्री मनन मिश्रा जी, उपस्थित माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के सभी न्यायाधीशगण, समस्त अधिवक्तागण और अन्य सभी उपस्थित विद्वान, श्रोतागण, मातृशक्ति और पत्रकार साथियों, सर्वप्रथम मैं बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा आयोजित द लॉ सोसाइटी ऑफ इंग्लैंड एंड वेल्स कॉमनवेल्थ लॉयर एसोसिएशन तथा बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंग्लैंड एंड वेल्स के सहयोग की इस अवसर पर सराहना भी करता हूं और इनको आयोजन के लिए धन्यवाद भी देता हूं। इस आयोजन के लिए जो विषय चर्चा के लिए रखे गए हैं बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और प्रासंगिक है। मेरा विश्वास है कि इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में चिंतन, मनन और मंथन की प्रक्रिया से जो सार निकलेगा वो न्याय व्यवस्था के लिए इस अमृत काल में अमृत जैसा सिद्ध होगा। कुछ महत्वपूर्ण विषयों का मैं यहां जिक्र करना चाहता हूं जो 2 दिन की चर्चा के लिए रखे गए हैं। एक्सेस टू जस्टिस एंड लीगल एड इन डेवलपिंग नेशंस, justice delivery system and the impact of social media, alternative dispute resolution in international transactions, artificial intelligence transforming the legal landscape, the changing landscape of criminal law, evolving role of legal professionals institutions, future of legal profession, next generation lawyer। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण विषय चर्चा के लिए रखे गए हैं। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में हम सभी ने आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में भारत सरकार द्वारा व्यापार, उद्योग, वाणिज्य, निवेश जैसे क्षेत्रों को उच्च प्राथमिकता दी है। विवादों के निपटारे के लिए अल्टरनेटिव डिस्प्यूट रिजोल्यूशन मैकेनिज्म की भूमिका को प्रभावी बनाया है। इसी श्रृंखला में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के समक्ष नेतृत्व और मार्गदर्शन के तहत भारत सरकार ने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इन्फोर्समेंट एंड कॉमर्शियल डिस्प्यूट रिजोल्यूशन को और मजबूत करने की दिशा में विभिन्न कदम और उपाय किए हैं ताकि ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस और व्यापार और निवेशकों का विश्वास बढ़ सके। मैं पिछले 9 वर्षों के दौरान प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के विजनरी नेतृत्व में भारत सरकार द्वारा की गई कुछ महत्वपूर्ण पहलों को बहुत सार में यहां रखना चाहता हूं। सबसे पहले कॉमर्शियल एक्ट में जो सुधार किया, कॉमर्शियल डिस्प्यूट के तेजी से निपटारे के लिए कॉमर्शियल कोर्ट एक्ट 2015 प्रथम कालखंड में आते ही लागू किया गया, जिसके तहत 2018 से मुकदमों के लिए कंपल्सरी प्री एंड इंस्टीट्यूशनल मीडिएशन की शुरुआत की। ये बहुत बहुत बड़ा इंटरवेंशन था कॉमर्शियल एक्ट में। दूसरा जो अमेंडमेंट आया, आर्बिट्रेशन एंड कंसिलिएशन एक्ट 96 में आया। एडीआर को एक विजिबल डिस्प्यूट रिजोल्यूशन मैकेनिज्म के रूप में सक्षम करने के लिए इंडियन आर्बिट्रेशन एक्ट में वर्ष 2015, वर्ष 2019, वर्ष 2021 में महत्वपूर्ण संशोधन हुए, जिनका उद्देश्य इंस्टीट्यूशनल आर्बिट्रेशन को बढ़ावा देना, बेस्ट ग्लोबल प्रैक्टिस को अपनाना और एम्बिगुइटी को हल करने के साथ साथ आर्बिट्रेशन इकोसिस्टम स्थापित करना रहा है। मीडिएशन एक्ट, मीडिएशन के संबंध में कोई स्टैंड अलोन कानून नहीं था। मुझे ये बताते हुए अपार हर्ष हो रहा है कि हाल ही में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में मीडिएशन एक्ट 2023 में संसद से पास हो गया है। रिफॉर्म फॉर फैसिलिटेटिंग ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस एंड ईज ऑफ लिविंग। पिछले 9 वर्षों में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के साथ साथ ईज ऑफ लिविंग के अनेक प्रभावकारी कदम उठाए गए हैं। बिजनेस के क्षेत्र में कंप्लायंस बर्डन को कम किया गया है और एक स्वस्थ वातावरण देने का सार्थक प्रयास किया गया है। एक्सेस टू जस्टिस एंड लीगल एड इन डेवलपिंग नेशंस। मैं इस विषय में कहना चाहता हूं कि एक्सेस टू जस्टिस एज ए फंडामेंटल ह्यूमन राइट्स that ensures individuals can seek and obtain a fair and impartial resolution to their legal disputes. न्याय की पहुंच सभी तक सुनिश्चित करने के लिए टेलीला, ई कोर्ट्स, संसार में अगर हम ई कोर्ट्स के माध्यम से कभी विश्लेषण करेंगे इतिहास, तो कोविड पीरियड में संसार में सबसे ज्यादा भारत के सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ही सुनवाई हुई है। ये बहुत बड़ा लैंडमार्क अचीवमेंट है। टेलीला, ई कोर्ट जैसी तकनीक योजनाएं शुरू की गई तथा निःशुल्क विधिक सहायता के लिए न्याय बंधु, न्याय मित्र जैसी प्रो बोनो सुविधाएं प्रदान की जा रही है। क्योंकि न्याय प्रणाली ऐसा कहा जाता है कि जस्टिस नेमिनी नेगंडा एस्ट मीन्स जस्टिस इज टू बी डिनाइड नोबडी, अर्थात किसी को भी न्याय से वंचित नहीं किया जाना चाहिए। इस दिशा में हम तेजी से बढ़ रहे हैं। जुडिशियल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के मुद्दे पर भी 2 लाइनें मैं कहना चाहता हूं। जिलों और अधीनस्थ न्यायालयों में बुनियादी सुविधाओं के विकास के लिए केंद्र प्रायोजित योजना के तहत आर्थिक सहायता प्रदान की जा रही है। वकीलों के लिए भी लॉयर्स चैम्बर में तेजी आई है पिछले 9-10 सालों में, आपने देखा होगा फील्ड में। मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि वर्तमान में जून 2023 तक कुल 412 विशिष्ट पॉक्सो अदालतें सहित 763 फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट कार्यरत हैं। अब तक फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट द्वारा कुल 33 लाख से अधिक लंबित मामलों का निपटारा भी किया गया है। जुलाई 2023 तक देश में 785 फैमिली कोर्ट कार्यरत हैं। अब तक देश में 422 ग्राम न्यायालय भी। अंत में इस कार्यक्रम के समस्त आयोजकों और प्रतिभागियों को मैं अपनी शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और आशा करता हूं कि यहाँ जो सार्थक चर्चाएं होगी वे न्याय प्रणाली को और अधिक सुलभ और पारदर्शी बनाने की दिशा में पथ प्रदर्शक साबित होगी। आज इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेने के लिए ब्रिटेन के जो एलेक्स चौक, जो हमारे सेक्रेटरी स्टेट ऑफ जस्टिस है, वो भी आए हैं। मैं उनका भी आभार प्रकट करना चाहता हूं। हम सभी सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि हमें इस कार्यक्रम में देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी का भी मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त होगा। मैं ज्यादा न कहते हुए अपनी वाणी को यहीं विराम देता हूं। सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय भारत।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय विधि एवं न्याय मंत्री स्वतंत्र प्रभार श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल जी। May I now request Honorable Chief Justice of India Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud to kindly address us। अब भारत के माननीय मुख्य न्यायाधीश सभा को संबोधित करेंगे।
नमस्कार। Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Union Minister for Law and Justice Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji, Honorable Lord Chancellor and Secretary of State for Justice Mr. Alex Chalk, the Learned Attorney General Shri R. Venkatramani, Learned Solicitor General Shri Tushar Mehta, Chairman Bar Council of India Shri Manan Kumar Mishra, Vice Chairperson Bar Council of India Shri S. Prabhakaran, my distinguished colleagues of the Supreme Court, Chief Justices of the High Courts, Judges of the High Courts, all the other distinguished guests this morning. It is a privilege to address this august gathering. At the outset, I applaud the Bar Council of India, the Law Society of England and Wales, the Bar Council of England and Wales, and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association for collaborating in putting together a conference of immense promise and relevance. Each one of us, individually and collectively, have volumes, whether it's now terabytes or gigabytes or petabytes, to learn from different jurisdictions, perspectives, and most importantly, from each other. All we need is the humility to recognize this vast scope to learn and platforms for such an exchange. The aim of the conference to promote what has been eloquently phrased by the organizers as introspective discourse and constructive dialogue is indeed noble. Over the next 2 days, we will witness some of the best minds, including judges from across the globe, my own distinguished colleagues in the Supreme Court and in several high courts, global practitioners and legal scholars discuss the diverse challenges to justice delivery. As the inaugural speaker, however, I believe my task is different. Instead of addressing specific challenges to justice delivery, I seek to present an umbrella framework to address these challenges and find innovative solutions. It is utopian to think that there will be a day when we will find perfect solutions and no challenges to justice delivery. However, it is definitely not utopian to aspire to a world where nations, institutions, and most importantly, individuals are open to engage with and learn from one another without feeling threatened or belittled. It is in this engagement that I believe lies the framework to find mutual solutions. Firstly, engagement between nations, constitutions, and legal systems. What better example than our own beloved Constitution? From the drafting of our Constitution to the adjudication of constitutional questions, India has a rich tradition of engaging with foreign constitutions and precedents. It is often argued, and I tend to agree, that our openness to draw from foreign experiences is rooted in our perception of the Constitution as a transformative document. When a constitution is perceived as transformative, it is more likely that foreign experiences will be drawn as inspiration of how such transformation is possible on several issues. In a number of my own judgments, and that applies to my colleagues in the Supreme Court, we survey the position of law adopted by international organizations and various national jurisdictions. I have found this to be a worthwhile exercise to not only contextualize answers to constitutional questions, such as public interest immunity claims for non-disclosure, but also commercial law questions like remuneration of arbitrators. India has a relatively infant law, as legal discourse goes, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of 2016. And we have drawn extensively from jurisdictions such as the UK, the US, Australia, Singapore, only to name a few jurisdictions. Knowledge sharing is, of course, a two-way street, with decisions of the Indian Supreme Court being regularly cited and relied upon by foreign courts faced with thorny questions. At the administrative level too, the Indian judiciary must remain receptive to collaborating with various nations. India has played a pivotal role by constructing the Supreme Court buildings in Mauritius and in Bhutan. Recently, I had the privilege of signing an MOU with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Singapore in the field of judicial cooperation. Chief Justices coming from diverse jurisdictions such as Kenya, the first woman Chief Justice, the Chief Justice of Mauritius, Chief Justice Sundaresh Menon of the Singapore Supreme Court have all collaborated with India and have visited us in the recent past. Indeed, nothing explains this push towards engagement across nations better than the slogan for the recently concluded G20 summit, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is but one family. Let me dwell briefly on institutions. The next layer of my framework is engagement with institutions within the country. While the Constitution provides for separation of powers between the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, it also creates a space for institutions to learn from each other and deliver justice. In our tendency to emphasize differences, we often forget the abundant examples of collaboration between institutions to further the interest of justice. This holds true not only in lofty constitutional challenges, but more frequently in the everyday interactions between the courts and government. Back in the 1980s, in the case of Azad Rickshaw Pullers Union versus State of Punjab, the vires of a legislation that mandated rickshaw pullers to be owners of the rickshaws they plied was under challenge before the Supreme Court. Instead of an adversarial approach, the Supreme Court and the government worked together to craft a solution. In his classic flair, a distinguished judge of our court wrote, "The state, by exercising its legislative power alone, could not produce justice until this formula was hammered out. The court, with its process of justice alone, could not produce a viable project. But now justice and power have come together, and hopefully we have fulfilled the words of Blaise Pascal. Justice without power is inefficient. Power without justice may be tyranny. Justice and power must therefore be brought together so that whatever is just may be powerful, and whatever is powerful may be just." I'm sure that the learned Solicitor General and the learned Attorney General present in the audience today will agree that this spirit of collaboration between the court and the government exists even today. I will give just one example. A constitution bench of the Supreme Court is presently hearing a challenge pertaining to whether a person holding a driving license to drive a light motor vehicle can drive a commercial vehicle under the Motor Vehicles Act. Instead of viewing the case as an adversarial challenge, the court and the government are collaborating to protect the livelihood of millions of drivers across the country. We may present disparate institutions, and our constitutional structure may place us at different ends of the table, but our ultimate aim is the same: for the nation to progress and prosper. Institutional collaboration is a precursor to solution finding not only while adjudicating judicial questions, but it also plays a significant role in increasing access to justice. The Supreme Court's E-Committee is not working in isolation, but with constant cooperation with other forms of governmental institutions. Just last week, a meeting of the Union Cabinet chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister approved phase 3 of the e-courts project with a financial outlay of over 7,000 crore rupees. Immediately after this function gets over, I'm meeting through to lunch with the entire team of the Department of Justice to now implement the project. The e-courts program, being implemented collectively by the E-Committee, Supreme Court of India, and the Union Ministry of Law and Justice, is a perfect example of institutions collaborating to make justice more accessible, affordable, and transparent. The third aspect, or the third layer, is what we can do as individuals. The third and final layer of my framework is setting aside our differences and engaging as individuals in the service of the nation. When I think of this idea, it reminds me of the heartwarming friendship between one of my idols, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of the US Supreme Court, and her contemporary Justice Antonin Scalia. Many of you would recall the iconic image of these doyens seated on top of an elephant during their visit to Rajasthan in 1994. Despite their divergent judicial philosophies, They shared an enduring bond rooted in their love for opera, mutual respect for each other's intellect, and a commitment to justice. Just like Justice Ginsburg and Justice Scalia, there is often a variety of viewpoint and perspective between my colleagues and on the bench and me. But that is why we are a national court. However, when the day comes to a close, we come together and share moments of camaraderie. This idea of friendship beyond differences may seem light-hearted. However, it plays a pivotal role in fostering mutual respect for each other's perspectives and in acknowledging that there is always something to learn from each other. Only when we recognize the shared intention to deliver justice can we sit on the same table and find solutions. The drafting of the Constitution by the Constituent Assembly is also a classic example of engaging beyond partisan lines. Individuals from different regions of India, diverse backgrounds, and even conflicting ideologies came together to draft the Constitution in one voice. In his last speech before the Constituent Assembly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar articulately said, "The task of the drafting committee would have been a very difficult one if this Constituent Assembly had been merely a motley crowd, a tessellated pavement without cement, a black stone here and a white stone there, is which each member or each group was a law unto itself." We find the same bipartisan effort, and this is something to which we as citizens of India must be proud, has gone into the passing of the Women's Reservation Bill recently in Parliament. The making of our Constitution is indeed a perfect encapsulation of the framework that I have proposed today. Before I conclude, in the spirit of this being an international lawyers' conference, I would like to highlight that while the judiciary definitely bears the responsibility to administer justice and uphold the rule of law, my friends at the bar, you play an equally vital role in an era characterized by ever-increasing globalization. The role of lawyers has evolved to address myriad global legal challenges. The rapid advancement of technology has created complex legal issues, with lawyers leading the way in navigating this landscape. They ensure clients and governments adapt to tech changes while upholding legal rights and regulations, covering areas like cybersecurity, data privacy, and intellectual property. Lawyers also bear significant commercial responsibility, driving economic growth by helping clients and governments enhance business efficiency and cross-border operations. Through their role in facilitating international trade, investments, and collaborations, they contribute to our nation's economic well-being and global cooperation. Just as Indian industry has radically altered its footprints from 1980 or earlier, by now reaching out across the world, I believe it's time for our lawyers to reach across the world in a global landscape. The government is in the process of creating infrastructure. There is a global outreach by the government to the rest of the world. I believe that our legal profession must not be left behind. We cannot look upon ourselves as merely domestic practitioners. Our reach, our vision, our outlook must now become global. While none of us have a magic wand to wish away the challenges to justice delivery, I'm certain that the sessions lined up over the next 2 days will inspire each of us to collaborate as nations, institutions, and individuals to find innovative solutions. With that, I come to the end of my address. I thank you for your attention. Namaskar.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद भारत के माननीय मुख्य न्यायाधीश महोदय। लोक हृदय में पूजित प्रतिष्ठित माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी, जिनकी श्वासों में भारत का स्वाभिमान स्पंदित होता है, जिन्होंने भारत की संस्कृति विश्व एक परिवार है को इन 9 सालों में भारत के नाम के साथ ऐसा गढ़ा कि पूरे विश्व में इस सोच का अभिनंदन है, इस संस्कृति का वंदन है। May I request the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to kindly address us.
भारत के मुख्य न्यायाधीश श्रीमान डीवाई चंद्रचूड़ जी, केंद्रीय कानून मंत्री मेरे साथी श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल जी, यूके के लॉर्ड चांसलर मिस्टर एलेक्स शॉक, अटॉर्नी जनरल, सॉलिसिटर जनरल, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अन्य सभी माननीय जजिस, बार काउंसिल के चेयरमैन और सदस्य, विभिन्न देशों से आए हुए प्रतिनिधिगण, राज्यों से आए प्रतिनिधिगण, देवी और सज्जनों, दुनिया भर की लीगल फ्रेटर्निटी के दिग्गज लोगों को मिलना, उनके दर्शन करना, ये मेरे लिए एक सुखद अनुभव है। भारत के कोने कोने से यहां लोग आज उपस्थित हैं। इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के लिए लॉर्ड चांसलर ऑफ इंग्लैंड और बार एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंग्लैंड के डेलीगेट्स भी हमारे बीच हैं। इसमें कॉमनवेल्थ कंट्रीज और अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज के प्रतिनिधि भी हिस्सा ले रहे हैं। एक तरह से इंटरनेशनल लॉयर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की भारत की भावना का प्रतीक बन गई है। इस कार्यक्रम में आए हुए सभी इंटरनेशनल गेस्ट का मैं भारत में हृदय से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। मैं बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया को भी विशेष रूप से बधाई देता हूं, जो बखूबी से इस आयोजन का दायित्व निभा रही है। साथियों, किसी भी देश के निर्माण में वहां की लीगल फ्रेटर्निटी की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका होती है। भारत में वर्षों से जुडिशरी और बार भारत की न्याय व्यवस्था के संरक्षक रहे हैं। हमारे जो विदेशी मेहमान यहां हैं, उन्हें मैं एक बात खास तौर पर बताना चाहता हूं। कुछ ही समय पहले भारत ने अपनी आजादी के 75 साल पूरे किए हैं और आजादी की इस लड़ाई में लीगल प्रोफेशनल्स की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। आजादी की लड़ाई में अनेकों वकीलों ने चलती हुई वकालत छोड़ करके राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन का रास्ता चुना था। हमारे पूज्य राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी, हमारे संविधान के मुख्य शिल्पी बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर, देश के पहले राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद, देश के पहले प्रधानमंत्री पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू, देश के पहले गृह मंत्री सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल, आजादी के समय देश को दिशा देने वाले लोकमान्य तिलक हो, वीर सावरकर हो, ऐसे अनेक महान व्यक्तित्व भी वकील ही थे। यानी लीगल प्रोफेशनल्स के अनुभव के ने आजाद भारत की नींव को मजबूत करने का काम किया। और आज जब भारत के प्रति विश्व का जो भरोसा बढ़ रहा है, उसमें भी भारत की निष्पक्ष स्वतंत्र न्याय व्यवस्था की बड़ी भूमिका है। आज ये कॉन्फ्रेंस एक ऐसे समय हो रही है जब भारत कई ऐतिहासिक निर्णयों का साक्षी बना है। एक दिन पहले ही भारत की संसद ने लोकसभा और विधानसभाओं में महिलाओं को 33% आरक्षण देने का कानून पास किया। नारी शक्ति वंदन कानून भारत में विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट की नई दिशा देगा, नई ऊर्जा देगा। कुछ ही दिनों पहले ही G20 के ऐतिहासिक आयोजन में दुनिया ने हमारी डेमोक्रेसी, हमारी डेमोग्राफी और हमारी डिप्लोमेसी की झलक भी देखी। एक महीने पहले आज के ही दिन भारत चंद्रमा के साउथ पोल के समीप पहुंचने वाला दुनिया का पहला देश बन गया था। ऐसी अनेक उपलब्धियों के आत्मविश्वास से भरा भारत आज 2047 तक विकसित होने के लक्ष्य के लिए मेहनत कर रहा है और निश्चित तौर पर इस लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति के लिए भारत को एक मजबूत, निष्पक्ष, स्वतंत्र न्यायिक व्यवस्था का आधार चाहिए। मुझे विश्वास है इंटरनेशनल लॉयर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस इस दिशा में भारत के लिए बहुत ही उपयोगी साबित होगा। मैं आशा करता हूं कि इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के दौरान सभी देश एक दूसरे की बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस से काफी कुछ सीख सकेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, 21वीं सदी में आज हम एक ऐसी दुनिया में रह रहे हैं जो डीपली कनेक्टेड है। हर लीगल माइंड या इंस्टीट्यूशन अपने जुरिडिक्शन को लेकर बहुत सचेत है, लेकिन ऐसी कई ताकतें हैं जिनके खिलाफ हम लड़ रहे हैं, वो बॉर्डर्स या जुरिडिक्शंस की परवाह नहीं करती। और जब खतरे ग्लोबल है तो उनसे निपटने का तरीका भी ग्लोबल होना चाहिए। साइबर टेररिज्म हो, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग हो, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो और इसके दुरुपयोग की भरपूर संभावनाएं हो, ऐसे अनेक मुद्दों पर सहयोग के लिए ग्लोबल फ्रेमवर्क तैयार करना सिर्फ किसी शासन या सरकार से जुड़ा मामला नहीं है। इसके लिए अलग अलग देशों के लीगल फ्रेमवर्क को भी एक दूसरे से जुड़ना होगा। जैसे हम एयर ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल के लिए मिलकर काम करते हैं। कोई देश ये नहीं कहता तुम्हारा कानून तुम्हारे यहां, मेरा कानून मेरे यहां। जी नहीं, फिर किसी का जहाज उतरेगा ही नहीं। हर कोई कॉमन रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस, प्रोटोकॉल्स का पालन करता है। उसी तरह हमें अलग अलग डोमेन में ग्लोबल फ्रेमवर्क तैयार करना ही पड़ेगा। इंटरनेशनल लॉयर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस इस दिशा में अवश्य मंथन करना चाहिए, दुनिया को नई दिशा देनी चाहिए। साथियों, एक अहम विषय ऑल्टरनेट डिस्प्यूट रिजोल्यूशन एडीआर का है। तुषार जी ने इसका काफी वर्णन भी किया। कॉमर्शियल ट्रांजैक्शन की बढ़ती कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी के साथ दुनिया भर में एडीआर का चलन भी तेजी से बढ़ा है। मुझे बताया गया है इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में इस विषय पर भी विस्तार से बात होने वाली है। भारत में तो सदियों से पंचायत के जरिए विवादों के निपटारे की व्यवस्था रही है, हमारे संस्कार में रहा है। इस इनफॉर्मल व्यवस्था को एक व्यवस्थित रूप देने के लिए भी भारत सरकार ने मीडिएशन एक्ट बनाया है। भारत में लोक अदालत की व्यवस्था भी विवादों को हल करने की दिशा में बड़ा माध्यम है। और मुझे याद है, मैं जब गुजरात में था तो एवरेज एक मामला का न्याय होने तक सिर्फ 35 पैसे का खर्च होता था, 35 पैसे। यानी ये व्यवस्था हमारे देश में होती है। पिछले 6 साल में करीब 7 लाख केसेस को लोक अदालतों में सुलझाया गया है। साथियों, जस्टिस डिलीवरी का एक और बड़ा पहलू है जिसकी चर्चा बहुत कम हो पाती है, वो है भाषा और कानून की सरलता। अब हम भारत सरकार में भी सोच रहे हैं कि कानून 2 प्रकार से प्रस्तुत किए जाए। एक, जिस भाषा पे आप लोग के आदी हैं वो वाला ड्राफ्ट होगा, और दूसरा देश का सामान्य मानवी समझ सके ऐसी भाषा। उसको कानून भी अपना लगना चाहिए। हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मुझे भी सिस्टम भी उसी ढांचे में पली बढ़ी है, तो उसको बाहर निकालते निकालते, लेकिन हो सकता है कि अभी मुझे काफी काम है, मेरे पास समय भी बहुत है, तो मैं करता रहूंगा। कानून किस भाषा में लिखे जा रहे हैं, अदालती कार्यवाही की भाषा में हो रही है, ये बात न्याय सुनिश्चित कराने में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाती है। पहले किसी भी लॉ के ड्राफ्टिंग बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स होती थी। सरकार के तौर पर अब हम भारत में नए कानून, जैसा मैंने आपको कहा, 2 प्रकार से, और जितना ज्यादा हम सरल बना सके और हो सके उतना भारतीय भाषाओं में उपलब्ध करा सके, उस दिशा में हम बहुत सिंसियरली प्रयास कर रहे हैं। डेटा प्रोटेक्शन लॉ आपने देखा होगा, उसमें ये सिंप्लीफिकेशन का हमने एक पहली शुरुआत की है, और मैं पक्का मानता हूं कि सामान्य व्यक्ति को उस परिभाषा से सुविधा रहेगी। भारत की न्याय व्यवस्था में मैं समझता हूं ये एक बहुत बड़ा परिवर्तन हुआ है, और मैं चंद्रचूड़ जी का पब्लिकली मैंने एक बार अभिनंदन किया था, क्योंकि उन्होंने कहा कि अब कोर्ट जजमेंट का ऑपरेटिव पार्ट जो लिटिगेंट है उसकी भाषा में हम उपलब्ध कराएंगे। देखिए, इतने से काम में 75 साल लग गए, और ऐसे के लिए, इसके लिए भी मुझे आना पड़ा। मैं भारत के सुप्रीम कोर्ट को इसके लिए बधाई दूंगा कि उसने अपने फैसलों को कई स्थानीय भाषाओं में भी अनुवाद करने की व्यवस्था की है। इससे भी भारत के सामान्य व्यक्ति को बहुत मदद मिलेगी। कोई पेशेंट हो ना, अगर डॉक्टर भी पेशेंट की भाषा में उसे बात करे तो आधी बीमारी यूं ही ठीक हो जाती है। बस यहां ये मामला बाकी है। साथियों, हम टेक्नोलॉजी से, रिफॉर्म से, न्यू जुडिशियल प्रैक्टिसेस से कानूनी प्रक्रिया को कैसे और अच्छा कर सकते हैं, इस पर निरंतर काम होना चाहिए। टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांसमेंट ने जुडिशरी सिस्टम के सामने बड़े एवेन्यूज बना दिए हैं। थोड़े से टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट ने ही हमारे ट्रेड, इन्वेस्टमेंट और कॉमर्स सेक्टर को बहुत बड़ा बूम दिया है। ऐसे में लीगल प्रोफेशनल से जुड़े लोगों को भी इस टेक्नोलॉजिकल रिफॉर्म से ज्यादा जुड़ना होगा। मैं आशा करता हूं कि इंटरनेशनल लॉयर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस न्यायिक व्यवस्थाओं के प्रति पूरी दुनिया का विश्वास बढ़ाने में सहायक सिद्ध होगी। मैं इस आयोजन से जुड़े हर व्यक्ति को इस सफल कार्यक्रम के लिए अपनी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर फॉर योर इंस्पायरिंग वर्ड्स। आपकी अति गरिमामय उपस्थिति तथा प्रेरणा से भरे हुए संबोधन के लिए आपका हृदय से आभार माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी। थैंक यू द ऑनरेबल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया फॉर योर ग्रेशियस प्रेजेंस। माननीय विधि एवं न्याय मंत्री स्वतंत्र प्रभार, आपका भी धन्यवाद पधारने के लिए। आई थैंक ऑल द एस्टीम्ड डिग्निटरीज ऑन द डेस्क फॉर देयर प्रेजेंस। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी। May I request you all to kindly remain at your respective places.
तो ये आप ये सीधी तस्वीर देख रहे थे जहां प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अधिवक्ता सम्मेलन को संबोधित कर रहे थे। इस दौरान उन्होंने बहुत सारे महत्वपूर्ण बातें कही। अगर कुछ मोटी बातों पर नजर डालें,
I'm a new politician. I'm just starting as a politician. Modi ji, what advice would you give me? And Modi ji said, Tanadar ji, just be yourself. I lived most of my life in poverty in Belgaum. I got an admission for a PhD program in US. I needed to get that visa, student visa, so I can go to America. After the interview was concluded, she put the stamp on those papers, rejected. That day, I just collapsed on the ground. She rejected second time. She rejected my visa for the third time. And she rejected that for the fourth time. Now I sit on the Homeland Security Committee, and I'm in charge protecting America's borders. America remains the number one economic power in the world, but India is fast approaching. In a decade or so, we're going to see America, China, and India. These are the three economic superpowers. America needs India because China is very aggressive. America needs to realize that India needs to be respected. India needs to be treated on an equal basis. And that's what the basis has to be for a really strong relationship. US has made mistakes too. Its relationship with Pakistan. And I think that made India stay away a little bit. Media always portrays America being rich and, not all America is Hollywood. My children were 4 and 8 years old. I have 2 boys. And their mother, my first wife, committed suicide. We lost her. Few years went by, I met Shashi. Neil was 11 years old then. He took out a cake, and on the cake he wrote, welcome home, Mom.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Today's podcast is a rags to riches story. It's about India-US relations. It's about a story of a first-generation immigrant who made it in the US. There are thousands of people of Indian origin who are at the top of the pyramid in the US. My guest today has not just a rags to riches story, but an inspiring one. It hasn't been an easy life by any yardstick. Shri Thanedar is a representative from Michigan's 13th Congressional District, since 2023. In India recently, Sri Thanedar was part of a powerful bipartisan American congressional delegation led by House of Representatives India and Indian Americans, caucus co-chairs Ro Khanna and Michael Waltz. They were part of the Indian Independence Day celebrations at the Red Fort and also got to meet Prime Minister Modi. The delegation also went to Mumbai, where they met corporate leaders, spent time understanding India's digital public infrastructure, visited the Western Naval Command, and met figures from Bollywood. Thank you for being part of the podcast, Congressman Thanedar. But before I begin the podcast, एक सूचना कि जो जब मैं कांग्रेसमैन थानेदार कहती हूँ, उन दर्शकों के लिए, उन सुनने वालों के लिए जो यूएस कांग्रेस के बारे में या यूएस पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में ज्यादा ना जानते हो, कांग्रेसमैन थानेदार का इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस के साथ कोई रिश्ता नहीं, कोई ताल्लुकात नहीं है. दरअसल द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स कांग्रेस इज द लेजिस्लेटिव और लॉ मेकिंग ब्रांच of the United States government and Shri Thanedar is part of that. यानी कि जब मैं कांग्रेसमैन थानेदार कहती हूं तो इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि थानेदार जी का कांग्रेस पार्टी यानी इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस के साथ कोई रिश्ता या ताल्लुकात हो. Now that I've got that out of the way, Congressman Thanedar, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Very happy that you're here. And just before you're about to fly out back home, so you've just had a meeting today when we are recording on the day that you've had a meeting with Prime Minister Modi. So could you tell me a little bit, or could you tell our viewers, our listeners, as to what that meeting was about and how did it go?
Oh, the meeting went very well. Modi ji, of course, spoke to me about my hometown, Belgavi. He said, "When are you going to Belgavi?" He and I met in Washington, D.C. Actually, I had the pleasure to escort him when he was to address the joint session of United States Congress.
This year?
This year.
Oh, okay.
So when Modi ji came,
Okay.
So I was with him. I brought him into the chamber of US Congress where he did this great speech. His speech was so well received, both by the Democrats and the Republicans, that he got more standing ovations by both sides than any other head of state.
Okay. Right. And today's meeting?
Today's meeting was very cordial. It was not a very formal meeting.
Okay.
It was more about, he was joking, he was telling stories,
Okay.
and with me were there 7 other Congress members. And the agenda wasn't so much about specific issues.
Okay.
We talked about specific issues with Commerce Minister. We went to the Defense Ministry. We went to the External Affairs Minister. So a lot of the details were all worked out with different ministers and ministries. So with Modi ji, it was primarily much more of a friendship, getting to know each other. So he told about his stories, how he first came to America, how his experience was.
He went as a tourist.
He went as a tourist, and he told about a story. Back then, there was a Visit USA program that Delta Airline had, where $500 you can travel as much as you want in 30 days. And how Modi ji told us about how he visited 29 different states. And at the time, he didn't have much money, so he didn't want to pay for hotels. So he would travel such a way that he will be taking the red-eye flight, that all-night flights. That way he doesn't ever have to even stay in a hotel. So he didn't spend a single dollar on hotel stay. And he just had a backpack with his few clothes. And then he would travel. And the host that he stayed in Chicago, that woman said that she only does laundry once a week. And Modi ji said to her, मेरे लिए 2 बार तो करना हफ्ते में, क्योंकि मैं 2 ही कपड़ा लेके आया हूँ.
Okay, and I believe he still, I mean, I know for a fact that he still does red-eye flights.
Yes.
Even as Prime Minister of India.
Yes.
Now, I don't know whether that is just to save the taxpayers' money on hotels, or whether because his agenda is so packed.
Yes.
As you would know, because when he came to the United States this summer, it was like packed with so many events.
It was. And the interesting thing was that he and I spent almost 40 minutes together, just him and me. No media, no staff. We were conversing, and in between he would walk out and they will arrange a group of Indians that want to take a picture with him.
Yeah.
So we were going back and forth between those pictures. I saw the real Mr. Modi. He's so authentic. And we had a lot of conversation. We talked a little bit in Marathi. We spoke a lot in Hindi.
So the PM can speak Marathi.
PM can speak
fluently.
Marathi. He understands Marathi. But we spoke a lot in Hindi.
Okay.
And but maybe because my Hindi isn't so good, he started talking to me in Marathi a little bit.
Okay.
But we had a great time together.
Okay.
And I asked him, I'm a new politician. I'm just starting as a politician. Modiji, what advice would you give me? And Modiji said, Tanadarji, just be yourself. It's most important that you're authentic. And how you are in front of media, how you are in front of people, or how you are, without the media. Just be yourself. Just be authentic. And that advice I thought was very, very valuable.
But you have been in politics for quite some time. I'm going to get to that part, soon enough. Was today's conversation in any manner because you were more familiar with him because
Yeah.
you met him before?
Yes, yes.
So was today's meeting a little different for you as compared to the other congressmen who were with you?
Absolutely. We spoke like we know each other. Last time I told him about who I am, introduced myself, and he said he knew about me because when I got elected to Congress, he happened to be in Karnataka, my home state, where I was born. So he said he